Yeah, very strong stuff from Damien Delaney calling for a regime change at the moment. Kenny, you've got your arms folded, you don't agree?
Oh, no, I wouldn't agree with that at all. Probably giving me reasons already. It's going to happen, but it's going to happen next July. That's agreed, and I think that's the right time for that transition to take place. I don't see the kind of despair. Obviously, I had a look at the game last night, analysed what was good, what was bad, as you do every game. But again, I got no sense of that performance last night. We need to change here. You know what I mean? We're going nowhere here. We're going round in circles.
So not from the players, but Damien's point about we're looking for a break, we're hanging on here, we're hoping to get something. I feel that. I think a lot of Ireland fans feel that.
No, I don't agree with that either.
What's our plan to win the game? How are we trying to win the game?
Yeah, but Damien talks about there we need to get more creative. Talking about, like, we know Robbie Keane was not a central midfield player. Robbie Keane didn't get on the ball in central midfield and dictate the game for us. Robbie Keane was a goal scorer. We got the ball to Robbie Keane around the penalty bars, he scored goals. It was as simple as that. When you're talking about creativity in the team, I guess you're talking about a little bit lower down the pitch in central areas, but I even argue that I don't necessarily your creativity has to come from a central midfield area. Yeah, it helps in that area of the pitch. You got somebody who can get on the ball, control the tempo, good range of passing, is set to can play in tight areas. That's the absolutely ultimate. Look, we haven't got that type of player, but you know what? To be successful, to qualify for major tournaments and be competitive, we don't necessarily need that type of player. When I look at our performance last night in terms of creativity, I look to our fullbacks. I think we have a real creative element in our team in wider areas.
Let's talk about the fullbacks, right? So let's talk about that, because we had this experiment for about half an hour with the three centre backs when we have in our team two fullbacks who are used to playing wing back, and we didn't put them in that position. When we went to three at the back, we picked the wrong team, and Mick threw out the experiment after 40 minutes because it wasn't working. He tried it once. Instead of sticking with it and saying, I'm going to give this 90 minutes and give the two lads who I know are really good, vibrant attacking fullbacks the opportunity to play in their best position. It was almost like he was half committed to it. He was trying to be a little bit pregnant.
Yeah, but you still do that. In the modern game now, even in an orthodox back four, you can still get your fullbacks high and wide. You don't have to play a back three to get your fullbacks in the modern game to high and advanced positions.
But my point, Kenny, is even when he was trying to do something right, he picked the wrong team. It's like Mick McCarthy's thinking.
What team are you talking about, by the way? What team are you talking about? The team in Switzerland? We went to a back three, 3-5-2. Yeah.
Who were the fullbacks?
Yeah, James McLean and Seamus Coleman.
Yeah. Why not pick the two lads who are actually playing in that role week in, week out?
But then again, I like the idea of Enda Stevens. When you're going to go with a back three, I like the idea of two fullbacks playing in those two wide positions because they're more than comfortable then stepping forward into midfield positions. So I like the idea. Being centre backs, when you got that back three, you want to encourage those two wide defenders to be able to step in and go and be productive in the opposition half the pitch. When you got two full backs like a Enda Stevens, maybe even you could argue like a Seamus Coleman or over on the right side, you're more likely to do it. They get those players travelling in. I take your point if you were picking.
But we've got John Egan, so he could definitely do one of them, right? And he's playing really well there for Sheffield United at the minute, so he knows exactly what that role is. So, but like,
I don't necessarily. I don't want to get into an argument. Suddenly now we have to play 3-5-2. We've got Enda Stevens and Matt Doherty are playing in wing back positions for us. So this way we have to play at internet. We can still utilise those strengths. We saw it last night. We saw them get in the second half. We saw them raiding forward time and time again from an orthodox full back position and still being productive. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a 3-5-2 system to get the best out of those full backs.
It's the last 15 minutes of the qualifying campaign, the entire qualifying campaign, we're finally seeing our fullbacks being given the licence or the opportunity to do that.
You can't tell me, Jerry, Mick McCarthy and his coaching staff are sitting in the dressing before every game saying to our fullbacks, be very careful now stepping over the halfway line. I'd say the opposite.
I don't know what to do, because Enda Stevens came out and said that they didn't practice.
They haven't got enough ball.
But Enda Stevens came out after the Switzerland game and said they didn't practice three at the back in training that week, and then there was some suggestion that they didn't practice it because they were scared that they were going to be spied on. They didn't practice the three at the back in training.
It's a quick turnover. You 3 days in between.
You don't do one
the game
session?
In Georgia. Yeah, once, but that's a different argument that you're making now. Your argument in terms of maybe the organisational point of view, which I think has actually been quite good. Well, I think that's been the one obvious difference with Mick and the coaching staff coming in. No, but if your initial point you were making, you moved the goalpost now. The initial point you were making about we've got to play 3-5-2 because we've got two full backs who operate in wing back positions and who are very successful. Now, for me, there's a stronger argument for those players playing in a 4-3-3 system, because in a 4-3-3 system, when you play with natural wingers, when those full backs Matt Doherty and Enda Stevens get the ball, immediately they got somebody to link up to, immediately head 10, 15 yards ahead. They can play the ball into, they can play little 1-2s, they can get on the overlap, underlap, whatever they want to do. There's better chances to get good combinations as a fullback when you've got a winger in front of you. When you play as a wing back, you don't have those natural options.
Okay, so that's a tactical debate. Fair enough, we can have that. But sorry, my point really isn't about moving the goalposts. It's about suggesting that we're not making consistent decisions based on what we're trying to achieve, because I'm not quite sure that Mick knows what he's trying to achieve with his team. And it goes back to the original point. It goes back to the point Damien Delaney's making. How are we trying to win games? What is it that we're doing, that the Ireland team, that Mick McCarthy's teams are doing to try and win games? And it seems from the outside that it's hang on, defend well, nick something from a set piece.
No, it's not going to hang on. I don't think the game plan is before the game, right, we're going to drop deep onto the edge of our penalty box, we're going to sit, we're going to wait for that one sloppy pass, and then we're going to try and counter-attack and hit teams on the break. We don't want possession of the football. We're going to allow the opposition teams to play. I think there'll be times during the game when that will be the case. You'll drop into a reasonable defensive shape. We probably saw it in the first half, probably a little bit too much last night, dropping off, filling those little pockets in behind where Denmark have hurt us previously, making sure they couldn't thread those little passes into Eriksson, those little pockets, wingers coming on the inside, and we were reasonably successful at that. But for me, it meant we were a little bit too passive out of possession and really couldn't wrestle any control away. So it's not a case we don't want to play. It's not an easy thing to do, to get on the ball, keep it and kind of dominate possession. I don't think we have to be a possession-based team for me. I'm not looking to control 55-60% possession of the football. All I want is to have enough possession of the football in the right areas of the pitch where we can utilise the best strengths we have available to us. And if you think about best moments in this qualifying campaign, Ger, think back to our goals. Our goals last night, 2 consecutive crosses into the box. I'm thinking about McGoldrick's goal against Switzerland. James McLean, cross into the box, even deflected, but didn't matter, arrived into a dangerous area. Goals from general play invariably, from an Ireland perspective, arrive because of a little bit of creativity, a little bit of quality in wide areas of the pitch, good quality delivery into the box. These are our strengths. This is what we're good at.
Are we doing enough of that, though? Do we look like a team who are trying to do that as a matter of course?
So this is my point. We've got to do more of that. If we can do more of that, get more possession in those areas of it. But this is what I'm talking about for me in terms of being maybe at times a little bit more aggressive, getting a little bit higher up the pitch, engaging people a little bit higher to get those situations, those little transitions, turnovers, and get more possession.
Okay, I can buy that.
Because I think we do carry a threat.
But I can buy that, but I don't see us doing that. I see us sometimes taking the ball off the goalkeeper and sometimes giving the ball to the goalkeeper to kick long. I can't see
that. So that's a fair. That's what I'm talking about.
So what are we?
So this is what I'm saying. This is me looking at the game last night, thinking we're playing out from the back, keeping possession, kind of passing our way up the pitch predominantly. That's all well and good. That's fantastic. Very easy on the but can we do it? Can we actually do it?
I think we might be able to do it, right? I don't know, because we haven't had enough period of time of people trying it. We're not. Like, we picked a central midfielder on the right side of midfield last night who, had a difficult job because that's not his normal role. Maybe if we wanted to do that, you've got to put Jack Byrne on the team. And even when there's 5 minutes left to go, you're thinking, now's the time for somebody who's going to come on and do that. And there was no sign of it.
No. I would have been, I would have no problem whatsoever last night, Jack Byrne coming on, playing in that kind of number 10 role, like your suggestion just off. And I think you're right, Jack stands alone a little bit in terms of the qualities he has in that position and being able to play on the kind of half turn, little congested areas with his head up, that little killer pass. I think he has a bit of that, and Jack's opportunities may arrive going forward. But I don't think that's the answer in isolation. Where I do agree with you is in terms of the point that you're making, in terms of the qualities which we have. For me, I think it's pretty obvious in terms of where their strengths lie. When we get good possession in wide areas of the pitch, in advanced areas, that's where we carry our real threat. Good quality delivery into the box. We didn't have that all the time last night. I actually don't think our delivery was perfect, but we got into some very good positions. And when we do get it spot on, and I'm going to earmark Leo O'Connor a couple of nights previously against New Zealand, receiving the ball 30 yards from goal in a wide area, not a huge amount of options. Tell you what, I'm just going to put good quality delivery into the box. What happens? Goal. Because we have people who will throw themselves in there. They're brave. A little bit of good quality movement.
The Danes did it, and that's where their goal came from. It was just a cross into the box.
A very good cross. Don't get me wrong, but it's still a big part of it. People forget it's still a part of the modern game, and it's very difficult to defend against. When it's done well, very difficult to defend against.
And I think that at least there's an overarching philosophy behind that, which it doesn't feel like there is with the team at the minute. Just to go back to Matt Doherty, right? the first game in Gibraltar, when the weather's bad, the weather is so bad that like you can see the planes in the background kind of almost blowing.
I could literally touch the planes.
It wasn't a great occasion to play football, right? But we pick Matt Doherty on the right side of midfield and we give him a half and we say, no, that's never happening again. And he's essentially a sub for the rest of the competition, who only gets to play last night because the captain is suspended. Like, surely there's some way of doing this and finding a room for him in the team and for Seamus Coleman.
Well, give it to me then. Was that easy? How do you get Seamus Coleman and Matt Doherty in the team?
Well, your team with three at the back. Your team with three at the back had.
As if this is a simple solution, staring us in the face. Well, give it to me.
Pick him as a wing back.
Who?
Seamus Coleman doesn't play. Pick him ahead of Coleman.
Well, you've just said how do you get them both in the team, but now you're saying you're advocating dropping Seamus. That's fair enough, but you've got to say that. That's not an argument for getting both of them in the team.
Okay, but your team with three at the back had Coleman on the right side of the three, and I presume it had Matt Doherty at right back.
So that's an argument for me. So that's there's
an opportunity, but we threw that out straight away. We threw Matt Doherty out as even pick Doherty on the right side of midfield and see how it goes again. Give him more than one game.
No, I think it was the right thing. For me, it wasn't the answer. Even before the game is Gibraltar, I was advocating actually Matt plays a left back against Gibraltar. I thought it was the type of game, although it was a competitive game, we could have actually had a look at him there because I was very keen to get him involved because of the qualities which he has. But I have to say, since Enda's come into the team, he's been absolutely brilliant. Can't take any of the team at the moment. Not even productively going forward. His defensive side of the game has been absolutely outstanding as well. So I give credit to Mick for that, actually putting Enda in. He's done fantastically well. So now you're right, now the conundrum is, and it's going to be a conundrum for Mick going forward to March in terms of who actually plays now. Seamus isn't in the Everton team at the moment. He's not getting first team football. Matt continues to play and keep his form off the back of what we saw the tail end of the game last night, when Mick's potentially going to have a big decision to make. But again, it is an interesting question going forward. I mean, obviously Seamus hasn't got another 5-10 years at this level. I think that's a fair thing to say, and I think Matt Doherty looks as if he's the heir to that position. Although I would say Leo Connor played really well there last night. But you're right. To get them both players into the team, you could be looking at a back three, Seamus playing right at the three. Whether Seamus now actually has the legs, the mobility, the athleticism, maybe to play that role, I think that's maybe an argument in itself as well. I think there was a case for an argument maybe a couple of years before, maybe not so much now. But I think it's going to be a big decision for Mick in isolation in terms of Matt or Seamus Coleman in their orthodox right-back position for the playoff game next March.
OK, we've got Gary Breen with us, 21 minutes past 8 this morning here on OTB AM. Gary, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Very well, yeah, I'm good, thanks. You guys?
Yeah, good. So this conversation is off the back of Damien Delaney's post-match piece with Nathan last night, where he was saying that he thinks that ultimately we should move on from Mick at this point to give Stephen Kenny the opportunity to take over now in advance of the playoffs, because we've reached a situation with Ireland where it looks like we're hanging on and trying to win games as opposed to actually going out there and dominating, or not dominating, but at least having a philosophy that is designed to try and win matches as opposed to just hang on and not lose. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but that's the general.
Yeah, I think you are a bit there, because I don't think Mick McCarthy ever sets the team out just to hang on as such. But in terms of, I got to know Damien well over the last 3 or 4 months, but that's a nonsense. That's a nonsense thing to say, that suddenly just give Stephen Kenny the job for the playoffs. I think Mick McCarthy has done a good job. I think a lot of people think there hasn't been an upturn since Martin O'Neill went. I think there's been a massive upturn in organisation more than anything. Again, I'd argue that we have a level of players that we have probably had better in the past. I think everyone would admit that. But I think Mick's got them organised. I think it's a camaraderie, it's togetherness, and they're playing. And I enjoyed that game last night in terms of certainly the beginning of the game, centre-half splitting, expansive, playing through the thirds, a lot of rotation in midfield. McGoldrick dropping deep, runners in behind. I was looking at that and thinking, do you know what? A lot of work's been done on a training ground, and that's something you could not have said about the previous manager.
OK, so Kenny, feel free to come in at any point, because Kenny was like...
I've been talking too much.
Kenny wasn't that keen on how we played in the first half.
I'd actually obviously agree wholeheartedly what Gary said originally. I wouldn't agree with him totally in terms of how successful we were playing that type of passing football out from the back line. I was a little bit nervous watching us play those little combinations Gary's talking about, the centre-half splitting, Glenn coming deep, trying to get involved, playing little balls around the corner. I was never convinced we're going to break that Danish press, and I wasn't totally committed. It was kind of a half-hearted one for Denmark, but I was a little bit nervous, and more often than not, Breeny, we ended up going back to Darren Randolph at the end of 6-7 consecutive passes, and it was kind of a scoop clearance for him, and he was barely reaching the halfway line, and then it was a fight ball, big open spaces, people picking up the second ball from there. I never saw us make 4, 5, 6 passes, play through the press, and end up with a little overload driving at the Denmark penalty box. So that's the argument for me, the kind of risk and reward playing this way. I said it to Jared, the best moments for me first half when Glenn Whelan, the ball arrived at Glenn Whelan's feet 5 yards inside his own half, and he just flipped it around the corner twice in behind the Danish left back. We compete with the next ball. Alan Brown picked up a second ball, flashed the shot wide, and we actually got a little bit of a foothold of the ball in the opposition last third of the pitch. Not saying we have to play that way all of the time, but it's something which I think first half we actually leaned away from. So I probably disagree with you ever so slightly in terms of that kind of possession base. Let's play out, keep the ball, and work our way slowly up the pitch. I was a little bit nervous. I didn't think we were very convincing, and maybe we hadn't got the players in key areas of the pitch to actually play that type of football you're talking about.
I like the fact that, say, for example, in contrast to Georgia, where Harahan and Jeff Hendricks were trying to get in those advanced areas and playing a little bit more direct, and the game just passed them by. I think last night we saw quite often Glenn Whelan and even Harahan dropping into full-back positions and giving an easy pass into John Egan. And if then the midfield of Denmark went to press them, then John Egan's more than capable enough to break lines. So I like that type of idea that they'd worked on that, tried to suck the Danes in a little bit. Yeah, listen, in terms of executing it, we probably don't have the players who are going to do it consistently well, but I still was impressed by the fact that they were trying to do that.
But that's the point. I think it's the interesting point that you make in terms of, again, I agree with you in terms of this has been worked on the training pitch, and Mick and the coaching staff have to be applauded for that. But you've made a point there yourself. We're looking to play a certain way, but have we actually the players who can execute those type of passes, particularly when the pressure comes on in those key areas of the pitch? You've probably alluded to it there yourself.
Do we not have the players? Like, do we really? Are we not in danger here of accepting Trapattoni telling us we don't have the players and Martin O'Neill telling us we don't have the players?
I've never said that. I've always felt that these players are more than capable of what Martin O'Neill kept saying we ain't got Robbie Keane, kept banging that drum, we haven't got this, we ain't got that. Listen, we don't need telling. We know this is not our strongest ever group as such, but they are capable of more. Mick has got more out of that group than a previous manager did. So
I think that constantly comparing ourselves with what Martin O'Neill did, obviously he got to the Euros and reached the last 16 of the Euros, is a false. It's like that wasn't acceptable. So if you're slightly better than that, that's not acceptable either. Like, I'm going to repeat this point once because we talked about it already. I don't want to get too much into it, but we did go 3 at the back against the Swiss that time. We didn't practice that in training, and we got that from the players in the aftermath of the game. So they asked the question in the mix zone, and the left back said, "Oh yeah, no, sorry, we actually hadn't done that in training that week." Kenny's making the point that there was a 3-day turnaround, but whether or not there's a 3-day turnaround, you at least do one training session, surely. So the notion that we're working on everything in the training ground, I'm not sure that the evidence is there for that, Gary.
Well, in terms of when they went to that 3 at the back in that game,
yeah,
I think that was to maybe take away a little bit of pressure that had been building, that they were struggling just to get us back in the game. And I think at times in that game, Mick McCarthy was good at his in-game management just to get us to half-time, regroup again. Now, whether or not that is something they worked on and said, like, with like 10, 15 minutes before half-time, we're going to do this, I couldn't tell you. You'd have to ask the players that.
The players said that they hadn't worked on it. That was the thing. That was where everybody's like, hang on a second, what is the difference here between what we're seeing at the moment and what was there under O'Neill and under Trapattoni?
Do you generally think there hasn't been an upturn from Martin O'Neill? Because I've heard you over the couple of weeks going into this game, and you've got a bit of a really negative tone around Mick as such. And I know you're probably wanting this Stephen Kenny to come in and take over. I don't know. Do you generally believe we haven't improved?
Well, what is our philosophy to try and win games? My question keeps coming back to this. We've scored 7 goals over the course of the campaign, where we've played Gibraltar twice and we've had Georgia in the group. Georgia scored 7 goals in this group, which is to suggest that we're now at their level as an attacking force. I don't see any particular style of play where the managers come in and said, this is how we're going to win games, this is how we're going to score goals. I do feel like we've improved defensively. I think that we're also picking players in the midfield who are trying to pass the ball around, and that's definitely an improvement. So from the end of the O'Neill era, it's definitely an improvement. I do feel like if we're constantly just using the O'Neill era as the bellwether and the measuring stick, then that's wrong. We should actually be trying to aspire to something slightly better than that. I feel like... I think
Mick will be aspiring to something better than that, having played with him, how expansive we were under his team. I know we had better players as such when he was initially in charge. But I just don't... in terms of him taking over from Martin O'Neill, that squad was on its knees. It generally was. The connection between the players and the supporters was at his lowest ebb. So listen, you have your opinion, that's fine. But I do believe there has been an upturn. Listen, I'm not delusional or naive or just thinking, wishful thinking. I don't think it's been brilliant, because there have been times in terms of that Georgia game, that Swiss game, where we've been woeful. Our ball retention is not good enough. But no one can tell me there hasn't been an upturn from Martin O'Neill.
But irrespective of whether or not there's been an upturn since Martin O'Neill, that's like, it's this weird kind of false duality where that's not the only thing that we're interested in.
I take your point
what
about
are we
the
trying to
comparison.
do? What are we trying to do to score goals and to win the game?
Yeah.
I don't see enough evidence.
So let's get away from this, like, what's our philosophy? Let's stop talking about philosophy. We don't even know what it means.
Oh, how are we trying to win a game?
Yeah, so what we got to do, we got to find a way of playing where we create more chances for me, more chances during the course of 90 minutes. And while we're doing that, we're not leaving ourselves open at the other end of the pitch. Football can be simple enough in terms of being defensively solid for the majority of the game, but also carrying an attacking threat. And for me, I think we can create more opportunities, because, like I said, the times during this group where it's been a struggle for us during this group to get that kind of sustained pressure in the last third of the pitch in terms of creating chances, which invariably lead to goals. If you look at the shots on target during the course of the group, it has been great. We've had moments during games, the last 10 minutes over in Denmark, the last 10, 15 minutes against Switzerland, again, kind of chasing the game, etc., etc. But we've got to find a way of playing, or find some patterns of play, or commit to something where we actually can guarantee during any game 5-10 chances, 10-15 crosses. For me, it's all about crosses, penetration in the last third of the pitch. For me, that invariably comes from wide areas of the pitch. So we've got to find a way to get from, like I said, the edge of our box to the edge of the opposition box as often as possible, and get the ball into those wide areas. How are we going to do that? And you call it philosophy. You call it philosophy, whatever you want. Just find a way, find a pragmatic way of getting the ball into the last third of the pitch, for me, as quickly as possible. Because if you're playing all your football in the last third of the pitch, it's an obvious thing to say, as opposed to 30 yards from your own goal. It means if there is a sloppy pass, if there is a miscalculation in terms of delivery, wherever it is, you got time to rectify the situation. You got time to recover, get back into a good defensive shape. Play all your football in the opposition half of the pitch for a load of different reasons. Literally get as far away from your goal as you can. I mean, it's pretty simple, I know. But how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Are you going to do that by playing out from the back through the thirds? Are you confident enough in your players to be able to do that, to get enough possession higher up the pitch, or do you need to take a slightly more direct approach? And direct approach to me doesn't necessarily mean shelling it from the goalkeeper all the time. It can be a case of throwing the ball out to a fullback, squeezing to the halfway line, a fullback dropping out, receiving the ball 10 yards inside his own half, and look at the play from there. And maybe ding the ball into a centre forward's chest. If one of your wingers comes short and drags in the opposition fullback, it might be a little clip ball into the inside right channel. Saying to your centre forward, Dave McGoldrick, off you go, run the channel there, make that ball stick, we'll go up and join it. So whatever the answer is, we've got to find a way, get more possession, build more sustained pressure on the opposition goal, because once we do that, we really carry a big threat when we can get good ball, good possession and good delivery in those wide areas and high up the pitch.
Are you not, is that not exactly what, have you not just arrived at the same conclusion there, that you're saying that we have to find those solutions, and you're saying, I haven't seen those solutions, I haven't seen, like you're just kind of getting bogged down perhaps in the semantics.
I think I've said that already to Jerry. Yeah, that's where I agree with him ever so. Forget about philosophy, just how are we going to get the ball from our half into the opposition half.
It's just a word, don't worry about it.
And build attacks, and you got to build pressure on the opposition goal, and we don't build enough sustained pressure on the opposition goal, and it's a shame, because when we do, we carry a threat and we have the players to carry a threat.
Does Gary agree with that? Like the idea that there is no... Can we use the word philosophy?
No, use a different word.
Let's use the word plan.
Template. Is there a template?
Do you agree with... I think Kenny and Ger half agree with that perhaps there is no template, or at least we need to find a better template. Yeah, that's what Kenny's saying, of getting into those positions, of creating opportunities. Do you go along with that point?
Yeah, listen, this is a pretty generic thing to say. We want to get our team in the final third and put crosses in the box. Which team in the world doesn't want to do that? You know what I mean? But the problem I have in that is that where it will probably fall down is if you're getting those balls in wide positions to James McLean, or asking him to step inside and make an option so that his fullback can play balls and can he play on a half turn, then James does great for us crashing around, but he don't look after the ball particularly well enough in terms of getting the ball into him. If you're saying that's our great hope, getting it to James and hoping he creates a cross, then I think a lot of work has to be done.
It's not about James in isolation, Breen. We've got two of the best for me in terms of fullbacks. We saw it again last night. We've had it with Chambers for years. Now potentially we might have it with Matt Docherty. We saw a glimpse of it with Leo Connor the other night, and certainly with Enda Stevens in terms of the quality of their delivery in the last third of the pitch. Matt even more so in terms of his combination play coming on the inside and playing little clever balls. So this isn't about like a James McLean, getting James McLean on the ball. This is actually about getting our full-backs on the ball, if anything else, high up the pitch, and getting those little combinations, whoever those players are, in wide areas, and not overcomplicating it. Whenever we get half a yard, good quality delivery into the box, and getting players.
You know from Mick, in terms of the way he's set up there, he's going to want those fullbacks to get in advanced areas. The very fact that they did last night shows that. It's just whether or not you've got good enough players in central midfield to look after the ball to enable them to get up there. Because if you think about Sheffield United, Enda Stevens, they look after the ball well enough. He can get in advanced areas. And if you think about Wolves as well, in terms of Moutinho, Neves in midfield, they look after the ball far better than us. So it's difficult. You want to get those guys in high advanced areas. But if it breaks down in terms of our ball retention, which has probably been our weakest aspect, not just under Mick, but for a considerable time. But at the same time, Joe, you're about to jump in. Don't be telling me Stephen Kenny's going to make our centre midfielders be able to play on the half turn.
Maybe he doesn't pick James McLean, and maybe he doesn't pick Jeff Hendrick when they're not looking after the ball, and maybe he only picks players who can look after the ball. So, you said earlier on, you'd been watching, and that I've been negative over the last while, that I want the team to have an ambition, and it doesn't look like if there is an ambition, it's not being communicated properly, it's not being carried out, it's not being executed. So, and when Mick does his press conferences, he never says, this is what I'm trying to get the team to do. I would like the team, whatever his plan is, it's not explained to the public in a way that we're all like, okay, no, I know exactly what we're trying to do, and we can pinpoint where it's breaking down and what's responsible for it breaking down, and then we can all have an informed opinion. That's the issue here. I think that he's never tried to bring us all along and say, okay, well, the Irish football public needs some kind of vague understanding of what we're trying to achieve. Here's what we're going to do. These are the players who are tasked with doing it. And if it breaks down, well, we've given the players all the support we possibly can. That's what we want as football fans and as football supporters.
Yeah, listen, I'm a fan, but everything you said there, I don't think that Mick McCarthy's not doing that. I don't know what do you want someone in as a PR dream just saying about philosophy and expansive, we're going to do this and the DNA of this and that.
What are we trying to achieve?
Gareth Southgate, basically.
No,
right, yeah.
Not Gareth Southgate. I'm asking for somebody.
No, but I think you can see a bit of that. But yeah, I think you can see a little bit. You're saying about Mick needs to verbalise that. But I think, say, last night, I think you can actually see that on the pitch. Gary alluded to it there in terms of, clearly Mick, there was conversations, there was work on the training pitch in terms of, right, lads, Darren Ralph gets the ball in his hands. This is what we're looking to do. Shane, John Egan, these are the positions I want. Glenn, I want you dropping in there. Can you entice one of their centre midfielders in? Open a bit of space in behind. If you do get the ball, can you play it around the corner? Jeff, can you find a little pocket? Full backs high, keep it nice and high wide. So I think you could see a little bit. So you're talking what's his philosophy. I think you could actually see it last night. For me, it's how effective we can be playing that type of football. I take your point. Throw Josh Cullen and Jack Byrne in there. Are we a little bit more capable of playing that type of football? Yes. Possibly so. Yeah. Maybe we might have a look at that. Maybe it might be under Stephen Kenny going forward. But at the moment, with the players mixed committed to playing in those areas of the pitch, for me, again, I'd like to see is actually, it's not criticism of those players, at times bypass those players. Those players in midfield that people are saying, can they really play under pressure? Glenn, can he really play in tight areas? Don't ask them to. Play the ball over his head into the front players, let him go and join from there facing the opposition goal, and let's look to play and engage the opposition a little bit higher up the pitch. Some people might say that's a little bit crude, but for me, that can be reasonably effective, and I think that's a style of play or a partner play, or whatever you want to call it, a template, which actually we've been reasonably successful at over the years.
Gary, last word on you to this. My issue is that we don't know exactly what the ambition of the team is and what they're trying to achieve, because it's a little bit muddled.
Don't say we. I know what they're trying to achieve. You.
What are they trying to
do? You just said we don't know. I know.
Yeah, well, I don't.
I
Kenny didn't know earlier. He was like, we were trying to be a little bit.
Say you and Kenny then. Don't say we.
Now, don't drag me into it. Don't let them drag me into it either.
I know exactly what it is.
I can see
tell us.
We've just told you. I'll tell you what the ambition is. Taking up a squad that's on its knees, trying to give some confidence back and playing. Listen, it hasn't been as smooth throughout it, but I could see exactly what they were trying to do last night. And I think I would be going into the playoffs now with confidence. I think they'll work on it more. So, and if you talk about ambition, I'll tell you what Mick McCarthy's ambition is, to get Ireland to the Euros. That's his ambition.
On a game-to-game basis, how is he trying to play football?
to win. What do you mean? How's he trying to play?
How is he
trying to make sure?
How's he trying? Is he trying to win, scoring 7 games and 8 goals? It's not exactly winning football. We scored 7 goals. We had Gibraltar twice. We scored 7 goals in 8 games.
I know all that. But look how many goals we. Listen, this is not a team that's full of goals as such. So he's making do with what he's got, and he's trying to make them competitive. But you're talking about ambition. What you've asked me?
Okay.
What's his ambition? His ambition is to get Ireland to the Euros.
Right. And on a game-to-game basis, how are we scoring goals?
Well, at the moment, a lot of them's been headers, isn't it? Crosses into the box. Kenny's saying about that. I think you've got this dreamy notion that as soon as Stephen Kenny comes in, we're going to be expansive, playing through the thirds, peppering the goal. Listen, I hope it's true, but he doesn't have a CV up to this stage that warrants suddenly thinking that that's going to happen with this group of players.
Well, look, his under-21 team played football, Dundalk played football. Everywhere he's gone, the teams have tried to play football, and
we're
been successful.
About what they've done. Yeah. You're talking about. Have you seen Mick McCarthy's teams play football? Have you? Are you just going on what you've seen now? Do you remember his team going to Holland and playing football, going to Portugal and playing football?
Yeah, Roy Keane.
I remember his team at Wolves. Oh, okay. So just Roy, was it?
No, Roy Keane was one of the best passers.
Yeah. Roy. So,
one of the best passers in world football was in his team at that stage.
Absolutely, he's world-class centre midfielder. I know that about it.
Yeah,
but
that
he's
helps.
Encouraging us as a group. Of course, it helps. If we had Roy now, I'm sure we'd be passing more.
Look,
then we might be showing more ambition.
Mick Sunderland team got relegated from the
philosophy
from the Premier League.
Mick Sunderland's team got relegated. I know that.
With a record low points total.
I know. I was in the team. Don't have to tell me. I was there.
What was your ambition? What were you trying to do?
Don't let one go, Breen.
But we did. I tell you what our ambition was. We had £3 million to spend when we got promoted, and when we were in after playing Chelsea losing 2-1, he said that to Jose Mourinho. He cracked up laughing. He said, "You got no chance," and we didn't.
Fair enough. Well, I hope that Ireland have some chance. You think we're going to qualify at this stage? 2 away games, probably more than likely Slovakia and potentially Northern Ireland or Bosnia in the final after that.
Yeah, listen, I'd be positive about it. Obviously, I would like to see who we're playing exactly, what their form is, who is available for us as such, and we'll take it there from there. But it's a couple of months now to regroup, to work on things, I'm sure, in terms of how we can beat those teams. But I thought that was a good effort last night.
All right, Gary, we'll leave it there. Good stuff. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Joe. Good luck.
Hopefully we'll have Connolly in the team by March rolls around. Maybe some goals. A goal would be nice.
I know it's not part of the conversation you're having there, which was very, very entertaining as a bystander, by the way. The whole idea that Mick McCarthy was appointed on a temporary basis just kind of looks more and more ridiculous. If we actually do have these, the temporary part being ridiculous, that if we have actual calls from people like Damien Delaney now for Stephen Kenny to come right in, and we had the safety net there all along, why would he not do your experimental thing during the Nations?
I'll tell you why Mick was brought in. I'll tell you, we forget. I'll tell you why Mick.
We were always going to get a playoff.
Okay, so I'll tell you why Mick was brought in terms because you sensed as if it was a real low ebb amongst the squad. You felt as if something was broken within the squad. Again, I'll be overly critical of Martin. Jer's reference, they brought us to a major finals and needs to be applauded for that, and absolutely rightly so. But at the end of his time there, it was broken. You could sense there was a kind of distance between the manager. So it had to end. So the question was, quick turnaround very quickly. Who can we bring in? Who can bring the players on side and turn things around very quickly? Just pull that dressing room together. And for that reason, for me, Mick was doing. I'm not saying Stephen Kenny couldn't do that, but for Mick, for me, was an obvious candidate to do that in a short period of time. I actually think it's been a very good decision in terms of how they've set it out, in terms of allowing Stephen Kenny to cut his teeth at international level with the under-21s. Vastly experienced manager. I'm a huge fan of Stephen. Great experience in European football with Dundalk. Let's not forget that. But actually hasn't tasted international football, and even the bit of experience he's getting with the 21s for me, just in terms of preparation, time with the players, etc., and the valuable time he's spending with those younger players, those young up and coming developing players are going to be our future, I think is going to be valuable. So I think it's actually perfect timing for Stephen coming in at the end of next April when he comes into the senior international setup. We've got to hope in the meantime that Mick can get a tune. Mick can get a tune out of the players in the meantime. I think there has been improvement. I'm still very confident in terms of actually getting to the finals next June. And that performance last night, I think we could actually better. I wouldn't actually talk it up as much as some other people. I think there's areas we certainly can improve. And if we can tap into that improvement, and we've all been talking about how we do that, and everybody's got their own ideas. For me, we can be very competitive even in the finals next June.